The regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 will come to order. Please join me in silencing your cell phone. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Here.
Mayor Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you.
And now Police Department Chaplain Sheila Turner will give the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow our heads and hearts unto the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this great evening, being able to assemble together to make the right decisions for your beautiful city of New Smyrna Beach, Florida. We ask that you bring us clarity and understanding and wisdom. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now Caitlin Dickerson, daughter of city employee Tammy Dickerson of the Maintenance Operations Department, and Caitlin's children Tristan, Paisley, and Landon will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And now, if you'll indulge me for a pause for peace. If you're speaking to the powers of the universe, please take a moment and think about what's going on in the Middle East. If you pray to your God, please pray for peace. Amen. May I have a motion to approve the absence of Commissioner Hartman?
Move to approve.
There's a motion
Second.
and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to the published agenda?
No changes, sir. Thank you.
Excellent, very good. We'll move on to announcements, presentations, and recognition. We're going to recognize November as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. So at this time, I'd like to invite Haven Professional Liaison Mona McPherson to join the Commission and I at the podium for a proclamation. City of New Smyrna Beach proclamation recognizing November as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Whereas hospice and palliative care provides the highest quality of care to patients and families and brings comfort, love, and respect to all those who serve in communities across the nation and right here in New Smyrna Beach. And whereas for nearly 45 years, Haven Hospice has helped provide comfort and dignity to thousands of people in Florida, allowing them to live their last months, weeks, or days comfortably with the people they love. And whereas hospice and palliative care professionals, including physicians, nurses, social workers, therapists, counselors, health aides, and clergy, provide comprehensive and compassionate care that make the wishes of each patient and family a priority. And whereas the provision of quality hospice and palliative care reaffirms our belief in the essential dignity of every person, regardless of age, health, social status, and that every stage of human life deserves to be treated with the utmost respect and care. And whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrate how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patient. Now, therefore, I, Fred E. Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, do hereby recognize the month of November as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month in the City of New Smyrna Beach and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of hospice and palliative care. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 14th day of November, 2023.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We have a final presentation and selection of Sun Trail East Coast Greenway. And so I'd like to invite to the podium the Florida Department of Transportation consultant, Matt Weisenfeld, to outline his presentation.
Good evening, and thank you for having me up here to speak to this. My name is Matthew Weisenfeld. I'm here on behalf of FDOT. I'm joined by Paul Schultzel, Jeff Arms, and Aish Sandinini, all part of the project team to help put this together and to present this to you today. So my goal tonight, I want to speak for a few minutes about a trail connection that can go through the city of New Smyrna Beach. It would alleviate a segment where there's no planned trail to make that connection along the Florida East Coast Greenway. So, where is this trail beginning and ending? You're looking on the southern end at a beginning that would be around State Road 44 and Myrtle Avenue, and on the northern end along US 1, just north of the airport. It is part of the Sun Trail program, and we've gone and looked at several viable alternatives. We can say that almost every area within the map that you see, we've looked at different alignments, different alternatives, different pieces, and we came to two that we'll talk through today. We'll compare those, and then I'll finish with a recommendation to move forward with. So the Sun Trail program is a statewide program looking at strategic connections for trails that would be, these are paved trails, generally 12 feet wide, to serve bicyclists and pedestrians, to make our system more reliable, more sustainable. And they often form trail systems or loops. In this case, this part of the Greenway is also part of the River to Sea Loop, and it's planned in many locations, and this is one of those outstanding segments that we can get programmed. So in terms of the viable alternatives, while we worked through a number of different ways, we saw these two, which we've called the Central West and the Central East, as two very similar trails in that they would both serve that need to provide the north-south connectivity, allow bicycling and pedestrian through the city, and they would also be able to just make it a better livable place. Now, they do have some differences between them that I will walk through as we go through it, and they both connect to trails throughout the region. I'll start with the Central East. It's about 3 3/4 miles long. It would be allowing a 12-foot wide path consistent with the Sun Trail network. It would require some minor changes to the traffic patterns, as there's 2 segments that are called out that would have to go from 2-way to 1-way. They're relatively small residential roads, and so we saw that as a very viable way to handle those right-of-ways. And one of the advantages to this one that's really notable is that it connects to a lot of features within the city. Schools, multiple parks, as well as the Mary S. Harrell Black Heritage Museum. So those are some of the advantages. It's one of the straightest paths through the city. Now, the Central West alternative is a little bit longer. It comes in just under about 6 miles, also allows for that 12-foot wide paved path. It has the advantage of not having any changes to traffic. These are a little bit wider right-of-ways, so that even though you're near maybe larger roads, you're a little bit more offset. And it does also have some park and some community connections, as well as a connection to the existing New Smyrna Beach Trail, which is that east-west route you see in green toward the southern end of the map. So just recapping some of those highlights, that the western side, in terms of how we evaluate it at a quantitative level and at a qualitative level, it has advantages for safety, connectivity, accessibility, its ability to be engineered and environmentally sensitive, as well as adding livability. The east also has some pros, and they are a little bit different whether or not you're closer to the cultural destinations or that you have a little bit smoother and longer continuous path. Ultimately, we brought both of these to a public meeting here in this same room a little over a month ago, and there was a lot of positive feedback on both trails. Both have a lot of opportunity. However, there was a little bit more positive feedback toward that Central West route. Being a little bit longer, being a little bit smoother, and having that connection to the New Smyrna Beach Trail were all big positives that we heard throughout that meeting process. So our recommendation for you tonight, though, is to move forward with that Central West by submitting an application to FDOT in the SunTrail program that would allow that to get programmed for construction in the future. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or...
Great job, Matt, and thank you for both the setup you did in this room here where you laid out the pluses and minuses to both. We really appreciate that. I'll invite the Vice Mayor. Any questions or comments, ma'am?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Martin.
The east route, and I understand that the enthusiasts for the west group came out, but the east route would not have the same demographic saying, yeah, give that to me. So there was a difference in demographic. But the fact that the eastern route goes not only past 2 schools, which I think is much better for students, and a lot of kids do walk in that area. The other side is that it's been brought to my attention that there's an increasing number of bike commuters. So you had mentioned the shopping and the dining, but apparently a growing number of workers are using biking to get to work. And so I think it's, my preference for the east is that I think it would be much more highly used and would be useful as opposed to purely recreational.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you for the presentation. So I like both routes that you have picked. However, I can't support the east route if you're going to have to make Pecan Street one way. As a parent who took my kids to Chisholm every day for 4 or 5 years, that is too complicated when we have with the flow of traffic. The potential benefit to the bicyclists is not good enough to the negative impact it's going to create on all the motorists trying to get to and from the school, especially during times when we have the train in the spring that comes across and blocks the railroad tracks. It'll back up on US 1 worse. There's a lot of problems. I would love to see the east route, but I would love for you guys to find a way to find not have to make it one way, at least on Pecan. I'll keep an open mind on Dust. I'll let other people fight that one. With respect to the west route, Fairgreen and Fairway, and this may be something the city manager may understand more than you. Right now, they are both wide streets. Are you going to take more right-of-way other than what is there on the street? Or are they going to take part of what's on the street, what's considered the street right now, as part of the right-of-way for the path?
Currently, the Ferry Green, I think it's about 32 feet in width. So I think they'll be able to maintain what they have in the pavement. I don't think they need to have any easements or anything in the right-of-way that I'm aware of.
So my concern about that is that people are used to having golf carts going to the golf courses. We've got to make sure that we don't then take away the ability for the golf cart to be able to operate in favor of a bike path. So they need to be able to coexist. Just a heads up on that.
And I think that could be done, or we could maybe designate one side of it as the trail, and then the other side is the golf cart. We could do that as well.
Perfect. As long as we consider it and make sure that that is dealt with. Thank you.
Matt, as I understand it, the 4th of December, we need to have our application in and have selected a path, right?
Yes, this is about getting to that selection and to do the application so that this can be put into the pipeline of projects.
So the city manager, that pushes up our timing. We'll have to consider that very soon. So,
Well, you have the 28th of November. That's our next city commission meeting.
good enough. And we've given enough public exposure so those, and I'm sure we'll hear from people now that it's center stage here, we'll hear even more. But I want to make sure that this is good that you're here, Matt. I want the whole community to realize this is a tax dollar grant at work. This is not at the expense of the city of New Smyrna. And we're delighted that you're here, and it's a big decision for us. So I just want to make sure that we got it in focus, that we have to have that all made up and our minds made up and a grant submitted not later than 4 December, right? Very good. Anyway, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And Mayor, is,
Yes, sir.
That's why we had the public meeting, and then also we'll put that on our city website, including his presentation for today. So.
Excellent. Very good. So why don't you follow on, sir, with the city manager report?
Very good. Thank you very much. At the commission direction in terms of the parking task force recommendations I think the commission decided that they want the city staff to hire a consultant. So I reached out to one of our consultants that we have a continuing contract with, the LTG Engineering and Planning. But I met with the assistant city manager, the police chief, and also the parking enforcement supervisor, as well as one of the captains, Jason Reeves, to discuss the recommendations, and also the chairman for the parking task force. I want him to be there, so this way we could all be on the same page. But my goal was to make sure that we asked the consultant we needed to provide a roadmap, an action plan for the recommendations in terms of the action itself, and also what it would take in terms of dollars to get to that, and a timeline. So then we met with the consultant. We went over again with the chairman of the task force was present. He is going back, the consultant, to prepare a proposal, and I'm coming back to the commission on January the 9th with his proposal. Also, the Commissioner Hartman and also Commissioner Martin and city staff attended the ribbon cutting at the Perrine produced there. That's a CRA grant. As well as we have the Old Fort Park. They backfill behind the wall. So if you see that they haven't done anything to the outside wall, they have to wait until the concrete cures. So that would not happen until April of 2024. So they backfill, they kind of down, they're gonna grade it, put back the irrigation system. They stopped for the one of the lights. Also, Rocco Park, we had the notice to proceed. This has been going on for some time with the storms and the hurricanes. So finally, we have the FEMA funding. Everything is approved. We got the DEP permits. The Fifth Street Bridge, a lot of people are wondering the completion time for the Fifth Street Bridge. That will be in September 1st of 2024. That's the estimated completion date for it. The Barracuda Bridge, it's a bigger bridge. We had so many issues with it. That's why it took longer. The estimated completion date is May 5th of 2024. We had and I'm sure the mayor will go over it, we had a very awesome event at the Veterans Day. The mayor will go over it under his business. But I just want to remind the commission of several dates that we have coming up. The November 20th is we have the public meeting for the Washington Street Streetscape project, will be in this room. Also, we have a workshop regarding the boards with the commission. That's on November the 21st. We have the Christmas parade is on December 2nd. And also on December 5th, we have the Chapter 50 public meeting at 5:30 in this room as well. Live Oak Cultural Center, as you remember, we had some mold issue there. So we had the contractor work there, did everything. We brought the company back to do the testing. They found out that one room is still kind of measured a little bit high. They went back to work on it. My understanding from the staff, it should be done complete by this coming the end of the week or early next week. Should be back to business. At the last meeting, I was going to ask the police chief to give us a quick update on the curfew. So as soon as I finish this, I'll have him do that. I'm going to go quick over the public comments at the last meeting. We had about 6-7 public participation. The one that it really requires an action is one of them suggested to have a sidewalk on Roanoke where the Chisholm School. So I will have staff to investigate that, and I'll bring it back to the commission with the cost. But most of the, and then they were asking about the solar, which was approved at the last meeting. With that, I'm going to ask the police chief to just come give you a quick update on the curfew. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So
Thank you, sir. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. So a quick update on the curfew. So as we discussed when the commission approved the curfew, it was a tool that was necessary to remove large crowds of unaccompanied youth during holiday weekends. So we've continued to use it for that purpose. We have not enforced the curfew outside of that, so there have been 0 contacts with our residential youth in terms of enforcing the curfew. I'd recommend that we continue to use it the way it is written. It's an effective tool not only for our police department, but for the sheriff's office as they now join us in controlling safety on the beach. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the chief? Commissioner McGurk?
Just a quick comment. Appreciate the update, and I appreciate the report. I have not heard any complaints about youth feeling like they were targeted, so on and so forth. So appreciate that good, disciplined work that you guys are doing, and I look forward to another year of that. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
I'm good. I know we've had this conversation, and it's clear to me. Thanks.
Vice Mayor?
Huge improvements this year over last year during our holidays. So I just want to thank you for that and all of the other officers. We really appreciate your hard work.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Chief. And Khalid, thank you for that update. I appreciate your reports as usual. I note you're working us pretty hard right up until the holiday. So, noted. Okay, we'll move to public participation next. If there are any citizens who wish to speak to the commission in a monologue fashion, this is your opportunity to come up and voice your opinion. If you have an accolade for a member of the city staff or you have a concern, we'd like to hear about it. This is not a dialogue. You'll have 3 minutes to voice your concerns or your interest items. You'll see a green light when you come up to speak. a yellow light with 1 minute remaining, and at the red light coming on, you'll be done. And so I appreciate everybody's diligence to come up and talk to us. For the crowd, this is not the time to cheer and jeer, just a time to sit back and listen to what your fellow citizens have to say. So with that said, when you come up, please, your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Pasquale Brignola, 391 South Timber Lane Drive. In anticipation of the Village Square PUD MDA being on the November 28th agenda, I just want to remind everybody that I am opposed to any category of restaurant on the list of approved businesses and the absence of hours and days of operation in the revised MDA. I cannot comprehend how this PUD MDA being adjacent to residential streets can be forwarded to the commission with a staff approval recommendation when it does not comply with the comprehensive plan statement, quote, to protect adjacent residential neighborhoods from adverse impacts of unbridled commercial development, unquote. The commission as well as staff are required to adhere to a myriad of rules and regulations in addition to the comprehensive plan. I would think that the plan's language as written would protect your decisions to approve or disapprove any or all parts of any MDA. At the neighborhood meeting in October, I asked the applicants what IHOP building template they wanted. They want the 3,500 square foot building that will seat 138 people. The worst case scenario would be 138 individuals driving their own cars, all arriving at the same time. There's no parking available for 138 vehicles. The next smaller prototype is the 2,700 square foot, and that has 88 seating capacity. Still too many people for not enough parking spaces. The applicants plan to lease the land to the new tenants. I did not get a chance to ask them what type of business lease they were going to require, but since they want a restaurant, I would think it would be a percentage lease where they get a certain percent of the business profits, which obviously would be more lucrative than a mom and pop specialty store. They asked me what type of low traffic impact business I would like to see on lot number 1, which is the one abutting South Timber Lane Drive. My answer was a T-Mobile, AT&T, or You Break We Fix store or an office space. The reaction was an eye roll. So my takeaway from the meeting was that they're not going to budge on their initial version of the MDA and will force the commission to vote in favor of the citizens or in favor of the applicants. I sincerely hope when that time is to vote that the adverse impacts on the adjacent neighborhoods are considered over the profits of the applicants. Thank you and have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Fingers. Appreciate it. Mr. McKenna.
Good evening, commissioners, Mr. Mayor, staff. Two things. First of all, I want to invite all of you to attend our gala in January for the Upward Trend Foundation. As you are probably aware, Upward Trend Foundation supports families in this area, greater Volusia County area, that have children with learning disabilities. So I'd like to leave with the city clerk some information on that for each and every one of you. Well, I'm short one, so maybe Ron and Khalid can share. Secondly, I notice on the agenda that there is an item on the agenda that references a position to be filled on Economic Development Committee. I have submitted my application for that committee, and I would greatly appreciate your consideration to be on that committee. As you know, I'm very much in favor and support of small business here in New Smyrna Beach and have made that very clear over the last couple of years. I personally have been involved in small business for more than 30 years, including having my own small business that's been very successful here locally. I firmly believe that the opportunity to really underpin the small business that we currently have in this town is a good one. I don't see New Smyrna Beach being a place where we're bringing in huge manufacturing or industrial companies. It just doesn't seem to fit with where we're headed. And I would like to do everything I can to support our current leadership in that effort, and I would appreciate your support, as I mentioned. So thanks very much. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving and appreciate the work that you do to give leadership to this city of ours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Captain Yerkes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I'm Mark Yerkes. I've met all of you at one time or another, but I've also put my name in the hat for consideration for your Economic Development Commission Board, if I can be of service to that. I don't expect that you remember me from meeting me before, so I try to put a face with the name that's on your agenda for later. Retired Navy captain, pilot, got into the research acquisition and development business. My last job in the Navy was over in the Orlando area, leading a team of about 1,100 people, $1.1 billion worth of business, fielding, developing, maintaining simulators and simulations with that throughout the Navy and for the other services. After that, President Hitt asked me to come over to the university and develop a strategic plan for him for the state of Florida and for the university. Did that. That included developing education programs. I started with the high school through a interdisciplinary master's and PhD program over at the university. Purchased land, built 2 buildings over there as part of the program, 2 5-story buildings. I have a few things I think I could offer. You have some good candidates, and I wish you luck on your decisions there. I think I will now leave and go provide some economic development to one of your restaurants.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks. Ms. Poole, welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. I want to start by saying thank you for such a great Veterans Day celebration. It was really awesome on Saturday, and I was proud to be part of that. My name is Diana Puhle, and I've also been put forward as one of the candidates for the Economic Development Task Force, along with the other great candidates you just heard from. And my background is a little bit different. I have been here full-time since December of 2020, and we took the opportunity that COVID presented and decided to exit Atlanta and come to our forever home, which had been in the plans for years. Even though I'm full-time here since December of 2020, I had a home just over the edge into Port Orange since September of '96, so I'm very, very familiar with the area. I've seen a lot of change. My career was pretty much in the tech industry, sort of, both domestic and abroad. So I've worked for small companies. I've built 2 small companies, one here and one abroad, both which were sold. I've also worked with some of the largest companies in the world across multiple industries. So banking, a lot of communications, transportation, oil and gas, finance, and really in the area of kind of helping them use the asset that they have of data to figure out how to make their companies bigger and better and grow, et cetera. So how that translates into this is, you know, some of the work that we did consulting with them was to help them figure out, you know, where do I want to open a new store? Where do I, you know, what site selection or, you know, what I want to put in my end cap in my retail stores, really the gamut of, if you can think of all the information a company has. So, you know, thinking about when we're trying to attract companies to the area and what's important to them, kind of understanding their target customers within a certain radius, the workforce that'll be available to them, the demographics, who their competitors are in the area, and how they're going to get in and out of places. And then sort of from the residential side of things, I've had my real estate sales license in Colorado. I also have my broker's license in Florida, neither of which are active right now, so I understand that area pretty well. And I've been on HOA boards for the better part of the last 20 years in various locations, so understand some of the challenges we face between developers and residents, which all of you know more than I do about what's going on out in Venetian Bay. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your stepping up.
Hello, Council. I'm Dr. Zach Tomlinson, and I've been serving New Smyrna Beach medically as a primary care doc since 2018. I currently am the medical director over Advent Health Community Clinic, which is a charity clinic, safety net clinic that serves 200% poverty, people that don't have access to insurance, don't have access to resources. I also am the medical director over Volusia Volunteers in Medicine, which works at the New Smyrna Beach Canal Health Department the first Friday of the month. Okay, I'm here to represent my small business, which is called Sunrise Health Direct Primary Care. Okay, it is located 712 East 3rd Avenue, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Okay, this business came from the broken healthcare that I saw while I was working as a hospitalist and serving the community clinic. This is a business that is an alternative to the current fee-for-service model, which the Affordable Health Care Act took and made all of us as a commodity. So my goal is to offer Southeast Volusia County health care without all the constraints of insurance at a wholesale, transparent cost. This is a low-cost monthly membership that you have unlimited access to your primary doctor. My wife and I are the owners of this business. We are both beachside, the only primary care doctors that I know. We are independent and not funded by a large hospital or corporate system. So I'm here to highlight a Give Back Tuesday event, okay, that we are putting on with one of our partners. 10% of the proceeds of this event will be going to Southeast Volusia County Habitat for Humanity, because housing is obviously a necessary need in healthcare, and we've had a great partnership caring for their company as a company agreement, taking care of their members, helping them stay healthy and helping them build houses for our local community. I just wanted to highlight that this Give Back Tuesday, I have some information here I will give to the city clerk, and thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you stepping up. Ms. Eisen.
Good evening, all. I am Pam Eisen, 624 North Riverside Drive. I'm here tonight representing Habitat for Humanity's board. I just think it's great when I walked in tonight to see Caitlin Dickerson here to deliver the pledge. You guys donated a lot over on Auburn to Habitat for Humanity. We had a groundbreaking ceremony in the heat of the summer, and 90 days later, that wonderful woman and her 3 children moved into that home. It's the first time those children have had a bedroom for their own. And when the mom got up to speak, the little boy said, "That's my mama." If that doesn't tug at your heartstrings, I don't know what does. So please continue to think about Habitat when we have these vacant properties. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your remarks, ma'am. Appreciate you being in the room, Mr. Billings.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. I'm Mark Billings, 128 Mangrove Estates Circle in New Smyrna Beach. I'm not here to be considered for the Economic Development Committee. I wanted to say thank you, echo the comments behind from our board members and from Dr. Tomlinson, but I also want to tell you about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I couldn't attend, and you all, out of the goodness of your heart and leadership, made a decision to annex the property on Finley 1309. So I publicly wanted to thank you all as leaders. I wanted to thank the city manager. I also want to thank Director Edwards and everyone involved with that decision. We'll be breaking ground on that property at 10 a.m. on Thursday. I hope you will join us. We've had a lot about Habitat tonight, so on that I will say thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your work and Ms. Kay Walker's work. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Jana Caswell, 1104 North Peninsula Avenue. I just wanted to thank you, Mayor Cleveland, the City Manager, Rob Salazar, and his team from Leisure Services for a really amazing Veterans Day event and for showcasing and highlighting all that the veterans and those who are serving today have done for our communities. And also for your hard work and support in showcasing the Resilient Band, a group of amazing, amazing young men who have a lot to teach all of us about commitment, dedication, and our ability to overcome. Thank you for a great event.
Thank you, Ms. Caswell. Appreciate your remarks.
Good evening. My name is Bob McAdam. I live at 406 Lincoln. I want to talk about something different. I'm also not a candidate for Economic Development Commission. and So I wanted to talk about residential construction. We have a great regimen in our town to guide with codes and rules and whatnot on what people can build. And there's a great team of code enforcement folks that work on that, and I'm happy that they do their job, but that can't be very easy. What we don't do is think about how those construction projects take place. So for those of us that live in areas that are being redeveloped with tear downs and more residential, and that may be everywhere in the city, we've got noise, we've got parking problems, we've got delivery issues, we've got idling trucks, we've got porta potties that are set too close to the house next door. And there is no real clear path forward for those of us that live with that every day on what to do. And so I would ask that the City Commission consider looking at additional rules to guide those people that are doing that construction. I'm not opposed to people building whatever's within the code. That's all great. But how it happens and how it affects the neighbors is something I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to. We've got trucks parked on sidewalks. We've got people being disrespectful, the workers that are there oftentimes to the neighbors. And we could do more and make it better for everybody so that we end up with very peaceful neighborhoods when we're done. So I would ask you to think about whether there's something more we could do on construction. The other thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to thank David Ray and his team for getting that generator at the foot of Lincoln and the Esther Park going. It's up and running, and it's been tested yesterday, and it worked great. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks. Mr. Weston.
Mayor, Commissioners, Chip Weston, 411 Hannah Jean Circle, New Smyrna Beach. I'm here representing the New Smyrna Beach Residents Coalition tonight. And choosing a visionary and qualified leader for our city is probably the biggest challenge facing the city in 2024. You have begun the process to identify and hire a city manager to replace Khaled, who has served our community since 1989. His decades of knowledge about our city will be impossible to replace. However, his friendly demeanor, eclectic expertise, and fast response to the needs of citizens and businesses are critical qualities in the next city manager. Our city is facing and will continue to face many challenges in the coming decades. Our new city manager must be a visionary leader. What qualifications are needed to deal with exponential growth, climate change, sustainability, emerging technologies, and the future economy? It is imperative that the Commission is transparent throughout the process. We believe there should be resident and local business input into the criteria being considered. Our special city requires and deserves an individual who understands the challenges that we face. We must capitalize on this opportunity to find the best qualified candidate, someone willing to lead New Smyrna Beach to be the best, most resilient, and sustainable beach community in the East Coast. I'll hand out to the City Clerk some of the qualifications that we would like you to consider for this initiative, and have a joyful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks. Appreciate that, Chip. Anyone else?
I also do not want to be involved with that committee.
2 minutes for you, sir.
Yes, I'm working on my own economic development. Yes, thank you. So, hi, everybody. Thank you all for having me up here tonight, commissioners, mayor. My name is Farley Palmer. I own Palmer Biological Services, an environmental consulting company here in New Smyrna Beach. And we started the company back in 2006, and since then, most of the work that I do has been in this area. As a local environmental specialist, I've developed a pretty comprehensive understanding of the local ecology in the area, including our river systems and the upland forest and wetlands to the west. These ecological systems are closely interconnected. Development in one area directly affects other areas. The natural flow of stormwater and migration routes of our local wildlife are being affected by development and will have a direct effect on water quality, storage capacity of wetlands, carbon absorption, and indigenous animal populations. We need a comprehensive, unified approach to this issue. Current development activities are permitted through several agencies, including the St. John's Water Management District. Clear cutting of forests without leaving interconnected natural areas to allow movement of wildlife and the natural flow of stormwater will degrade the ability of these areas to drain naturally and will fragment these valuable ecological systems. Everyone that drives out 44 can see what I'm talking about right now, the clear cutting that's been going on. Land that's slated for development, I feel, should be seen as an ecological treasure first and a buildable parcel second. The City of New Smyrna Beach can control what happens within its boundaries. There is no reason that we can't add to or modify existing regulations so that they are more ecologically sound. I personally am in the woods flagging wetlands all the time, and I see changes occurring now. Wetlands are draining more slowly after storm events. If we continue to allow a piecemeal approach to development, this will only get worse as these events become more intense and the sea level continues to rise. A recent poll of our citizens overwhelmingly supports more local control over the environment. We have a responsibility to our city and to the safety and quality of life of our citizenry to address this issue and make some positive changes. Thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening. My name is Andrew Lyon, and my wife and I own a home on Timberlane Drive, and I'd like to speak in regards to the PUD that will be coming back up for a vote here in a few weeks. We've had the opportunity to raise a couple of kids there, and it's been a wonderful place to live. I wasn't an original fan of the development of the PUD when it first was built, but over the course of the years that it's been there, I would say that it's been an excellent balance of community, neighborhood, and business. But with a lot of the issues that have come up over the last few years, in addition to them wanting to do some new development there, I think it does raise some things for us as a community and a town to discuss and to think about. I would start with the idea of putting a business there that is outside of kind of the first shift hours as the businesses there currently are. Those businesses present an excellent balance, but if we were to have a restaurant there or something that was open beyond those first shift hours, I think that would cause some difficulties for our street and our neighborhood and our community. I would also say there are some additional things that maybe we weren't able to anticipate but came to light last year. When we had our storms, there were some significant impacts on not just our street, but that entire neighborhood there due to stormwater. The traffic light there presents, I think, issues that need to be discussed and thought about as far as traffic. And then anything beyond, what the original PUD was set in place, I think really needs to be thought through more than just several months or several weeks. Forgive me, it's almost like the Oscars with this light here, right? It's counting down and you're like running out of time.
It's okay, take
I got to
your
try to
time.
gather my thoughts here, between
right
work
ahead.
and trying to scribble things down.
Go right ahead, sir.
But listen, thank you. So I guess I would say, we really were significantly impacted, by this development that's happening on the State Road 44 corridor. And it's probably, it would be, it's moving there, it couldn't stay that way forever. Development's going to come, and I would welcome it. I mean, that's progress. I think that's what we all look for. But it's important and it's critical that, in looking at what that progress is, that it is, a balance for what's best for the community, for those specific streets and that neighborhood, and then for those businesses themselves. And I really think some more time needs to be put in by all parties to review that and to look at it and to make sure that whatever product goes there ultimately is going to be what's best for the surrounding area and the community as a whole. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks.
Yep.
Is there anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. Thank you for your remarks. The city manager will be in touch. Okay, let's move to the consent agenda. We have 19 items. Is there any commissioner would like to pull any of the items or comment on any of the items? Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor.
I'd like to pull 7L, 7O, and 7Q.
All right, hang on half a second here. 7 Lima, 7 Oscar, and 7 Quebec. Commissioner Martin?
I would like 7C and 7F, please.
7 Charlie and Fox.
And also, I think 7, wait a minute, is that I or L? The parking one, I'm sorry, I can't read my own printer.
7L.
I'm sorry?
7L.
7L, okay.
Lima, sorry, she got that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner McGurk?
Is 7L was pulled,
Yes. 7O is pulled.
and I would just like to pull 7Q for comment.
Q has been pulled. Okay, very good.
Mayor, which one was pulled? 7B, and what's the 7L?
I'll tell you what I have so far, sir. I have, I'll make the remark on 7A. We're approving the August minutes, but it's not, those are not the latest minutes that we have. It's just a set of minutes that we didn't have because of a firmware corruption issue on a stick, and the city clerk has been inundated with many, many groups of minutes. So we are caught up on minutes as of today, and this will make that complete. That's just the comment on 7A. Won't pull that. Right now, I see we have 7 Charlie, 7 Foxtrot pulled, 7 Lima, 7 Oscar, and 7 Quebec.
And did we have 7L?
7 Lima. Yeah. L for, yeah, yes, 7L. And just since, all right, so we're ahead, City Manager. We didn't pull as many as we did last time, so I know you're pretty happy about that. In the name
Can we
of...
pause for a celebration for a minute?
Yes, sir. And in the name of expedience, a comment on 7N and just a comment on 7N for November. Don't we have a city, we've adopted a city policy on not-for-profit usage of certain places. And so since this application is in, I think I would be happy to have that go through, knowing that for all those going forward, we will actually abide by the 50% and the every 12 months, which we voted on a few months ago. Any other comments on any of these? You wanted to pull one for a comment? Go ahead.
Yes, I had Q for a comment, which was the food trucks in Messina by the lakes of Park.
It's been pulled as well, so we'll have a time to talk
Oh, I
about it.
thought you wanted
All
me
right,
to
very
comment.
good. Okay, so with that, please, a motion, if you don't mind, to approve 7 Bravo, Delta, Echo, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Mike, November, Papa, Romeo, and Sierra.
Move to approve.
Move to approve those. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, ma'am. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Okay, so ordered. Let's move to the item 7C. Whose is that? That's the skate park. Commissioner Martin.
Okay. This project seems to have changed quite a bit since the original proposal in June 2022. and I have difficulty obligating the city to another 154K without any kind of a site plan. So I have two questions, if you will. The 500K total price tag has stayed the same, but there's no playgrounds, there's no mention of parking lot improvements. So it appears now to be less project for the same amount of money, but I really can't be sure because there's no indication of what the final project is expected to look like. So that's my issue with the skate bowl park project as it's presented in the packet.
Well, I believe Commissioner Martin that we can collaborate together to bring clarity.
Good.
Yeah. So if I understand your question correctly, that your first question is how did the scope of work change from when it was presented for application of grants, not pursuit of design?
Well, in the agenda packet, it clearly, reflects from June 2022 that there would be a playground and parking improvements, which appear, but is not definitively stated, to be not part of the current concept. But again, we don't really have a conceptual plan for the current.
Sure. So in response to that, Commissioner Martin, I would share that in 2020, the city worked with New Line Skate to help us assess a potential preliminary concept, which is not a design. It is just a preliminary concept to pursue design. And in that preliminary concept layout that they provided, which was in the ECHO grant application in 2022, or to bring for you guys for approval to pursue, it listed off some potential suggestions that they had suggested to add as additional features to the skate park, which, to your point, included a 60 by 68 metal building with a vertical ramp inside, 5,000 square foot park expansion, ADA parking, and then a new playground. It was just a concept. Nothing was solidified. Nothing was committed to. Since then, that's also where the budget came from, was estimated back then from the original people that helped design the original park. And as you know, costs from 2020 to 2023 has significantly changed in materials. So you can't build the same thing now that was estimated 3 years ago. So with the current money that we have, the budget that was already adopted by the city, and being that it's a tough fiscal year, we had to minimize our scope of work to meet that budget. So we pulled out some of the items, such as playground, building with a ramp inside, and the parking lot features, so that we could try to meet the budget that we had for the project. The reason why you don't see a design yet is because what we're pursuing right now is an RFP for design build. So nothing's been designed. We have to go have it designed. We have a concept, but we need professional skate parks to say, within this committed area, here's how you create the best flow, the best use for that area. So that's what we have it on the list, if you guys approve this tonight, to go out for solicitation in January to start pursuing design and construction. The same company would design it and build it.
We've already made, 197 or whatever it is. We bought a building and something else. Oh, we did the survey. But what it seems to me is that we're asking for another 154,000, still without knowing what the project is or what the project would look like. And so I would have concerns over saying, okay, so here's your 154, but we don't know what we're paying 154 for, and it may or may not come back next month or the month after that for another few hundred.
We actually do know what we're paying for, Commissioner.
Okay.
In the proposal, it talks about additional rails, stairs, jersey barriers, and other streetscape features in an 8,000 square foot expansion at the skate park. We don't know where each of those features will land.
Well, how much will the design cost?
That's why we're going out for RFP.
So but that's an unknown amount, the design.
Correct, which we would have to bring back to the commission for approval.
So it is an additional amount that would be over the 154.
No. So something that's important to separate is the potential grant that we could get
Yeah, and I'm
And
leaving that out of the
correct.
equation.
So we budgeted 150,000 or 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
We've spent 198.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves us with 302.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we do, we have $302,000.
The way it was.
Any other questions?
The way it sounds confusing is because if we get the ECHO grant match, they match up to half.
That reduces your expense.
That reduces our expenses. So the 198 that was previously spent can't be matched. So where it could
I
be
knew
a
that.
$500,000 match, it's now only a 302 match.
Understood.
So we had already budgeted the money.
Yes.
We just won't get as big of a match.
Any other questions, ma'am?
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Commissioner McGurk, Vice Mayor. Can I have a motion to approve item 7C, resolution number 6623? The adoption of the resolution, if adopted, would amend the resolution 2922 for the Volusia Echo Grant Skate Park expansion improvements. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
With the statement that I'm not opposed to the skate bowl expansion, I'm voting no.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to item 7F, consideration of the CRA large-scale commercial facade / property improvement grant award of $79,997.50 to V Park for an eligible commercial facade / property improvement located at 310 and 318 North Dixie Freeway. Whose is that one? Yes, ma'am.
Again, in understanding how we're spending our tax dollars, these are generic items that I hope to see or to have more clarity on in the future. One is how, and this relates to something you said, Commissioner McGurk, how do we compare the concept to final project prior to dispensing payment? And I think it's important to have that as part of our CRA programs. The other is how do we judge the success of a project and determine whether CRA funds were well spent? How do we know what our return on investment is? How do we judge that? So I would like to see that as part of packages going forward so that we know that we spent our money well. Thank you.
Really good. City Manager, you want to set it up, and then maybe, Chris, you can answer some of those right off the bat.
The first question is, I think it's an easy answer for it. Typically what happens is that we go out and we do the inspection based on the plans were submitted. So that's not an issue. I think the other issue she's talking about, which, and I agree with Commissioner Martin, we will come back and we will add something to the criteria of the grant so they understand that we will come back in a year or two or every year or annually, that we could go back and check and also measure on the success for the business. But as you remember, this one here in particular, it's for the property improvement itself. So it's not for the business, but it's for the building.
And
but
I didn't mean the
add that.
business. I just want to know when we put out CRA funds that we need to have some standard. And if we're not getting a return on our investment that's appropriate, then we need to change our standards for approving it. But right now, we have no criteria to decide whether we're doing this a good job or not.
We'll do that. We'll do that, Chris. We'll just come back to the commission and.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Thanks,
All right.
Chris.
Very good. Good points all around. So is there a motion to approve item 7F, the approval for the large-scale CRA of $79,997.50?
So moved.
We have a motion and a
Second.
second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Motion is carried. Let's move on to 7L, consideration of the approval of contracting with T2 Systems for a text-to-pay option for paid parking areas. Hey, Chris.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner, I'm Captain Jason Reeve with the New Smyrna Beach Police Department.
Hi, Captain. think I pulled that. I had some citizens email me and ask me why we are going to implement this when we have had a consultant in the works, and they had questions. Does this involve signage? Does it involve the kiosk? How much is it? And a lot of questions. Is it length of time we're going to use this until we implement something new?
So I'll give you a rough breakdown of the service. So basically, it's just an add-on to the current kiosk that we have now. So it's not, we're not signing any type of contract. We're not into them for anything. We can start it today, and 6 months from now, we can say we don't want you anymore. We're going to go in a different direction, or maybe get rid of kiosks. Basically, it's, I believe, a 39-cent fee per transaction, which roughly, given our average transactions throughout the year, is just under a $2,000 cost for what we had, the number of transactions last year. There is a monthly fee to have it, but they're waiving that because we have physical kiosks in the city. So there's no charge for that.
It's $148, Commissioner Perrine, that our Vice Mayor.
$148
$148 a month.
a month.
That's based on the type of, or the number of transactions that we have.
That's good. I just want to make sure if they decide we need something different that we're not involved in a contract.
We're not obligated.
Very good.
From
Thank
what
you.
the representative told me, we can cancel anytime. We're just adding it on, and when we don't want the add-on, we cancel it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin.
Okay, for clarity, this would be used in the spaces that currently have kiosks in addition to the physical kiosks.
Correct,
Is that accurate?
but you do not have to have a physical kiosk to use it.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but we're giving two options.
It would just be two, yes, a different option.
Okay. And if we added street parking, which we've been talking about for how many years?
29.
Yes, ma'am, you could use it for that. The way the app works, basically, you would just, for example, it might say text New Smyrna to 1234. It'll pop up and say how many, it'll even ask how many minutes, they can pay for an hour, put in a credit card, save their credit card for future use, done,
Yeah.
it's paid for.
So it's scalable, and we could, if sort of like.
It will break it down in time if you choose, if we like it and we decide we want time parking on Canal or Flagler, this app so far seems to be set up, it would accommodate
Okay,
that.
scalable, but also if we voted at the next meeting to finally implement charge parking on Flagler and Canal, we could start using it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's a great idea. Very excited about it. My only issue was I did not have a lot of time to get into the contracts. So I saw the first, I guess, sale agreement. That was 2 pages. And I looked over that and I thought that's great. And then I went to another attachment. There was a 17-page
Yeah, so I think maybe the way that, honestly, I think just probably the way I worded or entered it was an initial probably misunderstanding on my part, because what kept being told to me was contract. And then when I basically called myself and kind of looked a little further into it, it was just an add-on, so we don't, there is no contract to have it. That paper you saw is just the terms of service, and it's the same exact as the kiosk. So however we pay the kiosk, that it's the same thing. That
Okay.
would just be an addition.
So that was okay. It was the master customer agreement, 17 pages, that I had not had time to really get into. Primary concerns are, number one, what is happening with the personal information? You know, we're going to use our phone. We all get the junk and the spam. It's very irritating. What are we agreeing to allowing them to do with our information once they get it? That was one of my concerns. The other concern is we're gonna get into this. It's great. Seems to me that this technology of texting seems relatively easy. I think there's a lot of competition out there, but I like the fact that we're piggybacking off a company we're already using. I just didn't want to get in deep in the contract where there was automatic renewals, penalties. When can we get out of this?
So the contract that's in there, I was asked to put in, that's the current contract we have with the kiosk. It has nothing to do with text to pay. The text to pay is simply going to be an add-on to what we currently have as a service, and we can cancel it at any time. So in 6 months from now, if we don't like it for whatever reason, all we have to do is say we no longer want the text to pay add-on, we're canceling it, and that's it.
Okay, so how long did you say? I mean, it's a 30-day, 60-day, but we can get out of it?
Yes, yes, from what I was told, we're not obligated to keep it for any amount of time. We can cancel it whenever we don't want it.
Okay, so I'm willing to accept this tonight on the idea that we can, if we find ourselves in a bad agreement. My understanding from what you're telling me is we can go ahead in a short period of time, get out of it without any kind of significant
Yes, so the
penalty.
2-page you referred to, that's actually the information. The rest of the 17-page, that's our current kiosk contract, which basically has nothing to do with the text to pay. We're just adding on to that. It's just an add-on to a service.
That contract, Commissioner McGurk, is from 2014, the one you're referring to, so it's an old contract.
I understand. We're going to add text to pay.
It's just.
Are we going to be under that 17-page master agreement with the text to pay, or no?
No, the text to pay is just an add-on. So,
Okay. So it's not
say you
gonna
want
be
to
under
upgrade
the-
your Netflix to 4K, kind of the same thing, pay the extra, that kind of thing.
So text to pay is not going to be held under that master
No,
agreement?
it's just an add-on and we can cancel it at any time.
It's just a sale and customer agreement?
Yeah, that was just my, just wrong choice of verbiage, I guess, for this whole thing.
Well, no, let's not go that far. It's okay. Okay, so my questions are answered, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Captain, thank you very much for what you and the chief have brought. We asked for something. You did the research. My question would be, not a question, but I think your protocol is you run everything through your purchasing agent anyway, and so Jan does the paperwork and makes sure that there all those loopholes that Commissioner McGurk wisely pointed out will be solved before we ever pull the trigger on that, right?
The contract goes through legal, purchasing, and back to us, so, I mean, there's about 5-6 people there looking at it.
Excellent.
In terms of does the contract give this company the ability to use or sell our telephone numbers?
I don't have the answer for that. I would have to probably call and ask specifically for that. I don't have an answer for you on that.
Commissioner Martin.
That's exactly where I'm going. And I thought that was an excellent point you brought up. There's certain liabilities to us, obviously, but we'd like to know if that information is sold in any way.
I think the best thing, Mayor, is maybe not to use it at all for now, honestly. So let's just wait for the consultant. When the consultant comes in, we'll be more than happy to have this texting. This texting they've been asking for it. We provided it. So let's just hold on. When the consultant comes in on board, then the consultant can answer all the questions. So let's just put it off.
I don't like your idea.
I don't know.
No. I'm seriously, let's just put it off because I think there is a lot of concerns, a lot of questions. So let's just take it off, and I think we're fine with it. And the consultant, that's one of the items we'll be looking at because we gave him a task.
I don't have a problem with this. To me, would be a good test run. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some of these questions are something that these are things that concern me. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I would like us to go forward with this.
Okay. Any more discussion? Vice Mayor, you got something there? All right. Is there a motion for 7 Lima approval of the contracting with T2 Systems for text to pay?
I'd like to make that motion.
There's a motion. I have a second and a second. Thank you for your insightful words there, and I appreciate your straightforward conversation. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
I'm going to vote no because I think we should check whether that information's sold before we implement.
The lawyer and I think the lawyer and the purchasing person will do that for us for sure.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, 7, Oscar. Consideration for approval of the biweekly Bashell Island food truck events on Friday, starting 17 November through 20 December the following year. Whose is that?
I pulled those.
All right, Vice Mayor.
So one of the things I had with questions on this is what are the differences between a one-time special event and a recurring special event? And the second question is, why don't these have a stop? We can't have a recurring event forever for the fee that they pay. So I'm asking to put a condition on the duration of that.
Okay.
So, see Director Salazar there. Rob,
Yes,
batter's box.
so
What
we
do you
have
know?
a variety of special event categories that events that come to the Special Events Committee can fall into. The first category is a minor special event, and a lot of those don't require city commission approval. That's $100. A major special event where there's going to be alcohol or road closures or there's a criteria list that we go down, it's $500. The third grouping of events is a reoccurring special event, and those are paid through the building department, and those cost $480 approximately. There's not a limitation on the number of reoccurring events that a reoccurring permit can have in a year. A few examples of other events that have a reoccurring permit though, second Saturday car show on Canal, first Wednesday Coastal Woods food trucks, third Saturday coffee and cars in the old Kmart parking lot, third Thursday Canal Street nights. So there's a precedent for having the reoccurring events, but to the volume of the every week, we don't necessarily have that precedence. I think that's where Commissioner Perrine's going.
Yes, because to me, having something every single week isn't a special event. So they're getting a lot of bang for their buck, considering everyone else. So either we limit it to the number or we put a condition on the duration. I don't care how you do it, but I don't think somebody should be able to do this weekly for the same price someone else, has 6 times, like the car show or whatever. Once a month is a lot different than weekly. And then that gives us the opportunity that if the neighbors are complaining because this food truck is always there, we have a cancellation, we have an end to it. Where just having an open end like this, I don't like that.
Any consideration to a modification of your protocol or policy, Rob?
At the direction of the commission, we can revisit that certainly.
Okay, the Vice Mayor's given you some ideas there. You can think on your feet, or we can take it back later. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as Commissioner McGurk has said, but if you can, meter this, what she says, logic makes sense. It says, hey, it's not the same. It's a recurring event.
Sure.
So, if you want to truncate it to
just for clarity, are we looking for like a once a month? Would that fit the scope of what you're feeling would be appropriate? Because the Bouchelle event is twice a month. The Venetian Bay, Messina Lakes is every week, so they'd have 4 a month approximately. What's your temperature on, so when I go back to them, I say, the commission wants us to look at what volume you're looking for.
Well, let me tell you that the reason I pulled Q is because I wanted to make absolutely certain the city had nothing to do with this. Because immediately I'm saying, what are the businesses in Venetian Bay gonna say about these food trucks coming in? But this is independent of us. All we're simply doing is saying you've met the protocol, and if the community wants it, they can have it. So my only comment on Q was gonna be, this is not us. So when the businesses start complaining, that's an internal issue with Venetian Bay. It doesn't have anything to do with us. So I kind of see this very similar. And if we're talking about, we can simply, I don't want to control, they may love it. So I don't want to control and say you can't have it weekly or you have to have it monthly, but maybe have what's the time limit? How far does this approval go out?
Are we looking at Bouchelle or Venetian?
Just in general,
So
ongoing.
Bouchelle has dates on their packet through December of '24. And Venetian, let's see if they have it on
Yeah, so why don't we do this? This isn't, so Bouchelle is the same thing as Venetian Bay. It's not us. So if people seem to have a problem with it, when they go to renew it after a year, that's when I think we can take it up. But I was just gonna make very clear to everyone in this room, if Venetian Bay starts complaining, or in this case, Venetian Bay, or Bouchelle, but Bouchelle's different because they don't have any businesses inside. So I was concerned about the businesses in Venetian Bay complaining and putting us in the middle, which I don't want.
Just a tidbit on Bouchelle. From their application, they're proposing to have one truck on their site. I know we're on Bouchelle right now. I just want to make sure I'm addressing.
We're on Bouchelle.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm good at confusing people.
Yeah.
Good
So
question.
they were proposing to have one truck at a time at Bouchelle.
You know, a representative from Bouchelle Island, I think she's here, so if you have any questions for her, I think she's the president of the condo association, correct?
Ma'am, your name and address just for the record.
Carrie Stepp, the president of Bouchelle Island HOA. My address is 2818 Casanova.
Thank you.
Yes, what he's spoken about is the one food truck. It is in private property there, tucked back in the community, so residential complaints should not be of any concern. The every other week seems to be a good fit for the community. With food trucks, they do tend to cancel last minute and often. So sometimes that every other week won't even be happening. But we did put the application in for the duration of 2024.
Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So Rob, and while you're there, she put the application in through 2024, but the other one doesn't have an end to it? Is that what I need clarification on, because that's my whole thing is we need a duration on these.
10-4. I don't have an end term on this packet. I can go back to the Messina Lakes organizer and ask for a dedicated time frame.
We can just set it.
We'll just put it.
We'll just put it in the motion. Let's stick on O for a minute. Any other questions on the one for Bouchelle?
Okay,
Commissioner
and
Martin.
this will apply to both. It's simply, how often I believe there is an inspection, at least, somebody inspects the food trucks periodically to make sure,
Yes.
right? Well, my point would be in terms of cost to the city and city involvement, how often does that happen? Do we know that the HOAs clean up all trash? In other words, we have any maintenance from the city involved? But most importantly, do we do the inspections, or how is that? How's that taken care
So
of?
our fire inspector, part of the ordinance for food trucks and why it comes to special events is because an inspection is required for every time the food trucks are out in New Smyrna Beach. So regardless of if it's at Venetian Bay or the sports complex or Bouchelle or wherever it is, if there's a food truck out, they have to be inspected. So our staff, our fire staff, they inspect every time they're out, and that's.
So there is a cost to the city
Yes, ma'am.
every single
ma'am.
time?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments on 7O? I'll ask one. So your residents, you took the poll, the residents are looking forward to it, they want it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, yep.
All right. Any other questions? Is there a motion for item 7, Oscar, the special event considered biweekly Bouchelle Island food trucks on Fridays starting 17 November 2023 through 20 December 2024? Is there a motion?
This particular one already has an end date, the December 2024,
It's a year.
correct?
It's effectively a year.
I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
And there's a second. Now, just in consideration, that's how we always do this. So you can vote it up or down, but we always got to have the motion. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
I will vote yes.
Vice Mayor Breen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't go away, Rob. 7 Quebec. This is the Messina Lakes, same deal. Weekly food trucks, Friday at Messina by the Lake Apartments, starting 17 November. And let's conclude that with December 20th of 2024. So that's an amendment. That's a change to what you see in front of you. I'm just saying let's do it the same duration
Yeah.
as the last one.
So I've said my piece. It's not us. It's not our issue in the context that we're not putting them in competing with the businesses. So if I'll make a motion to approve it with a 1 year end date.
There's a motion to approve weekly food trucks at Messina by the Lake Apartments starting November 17th and concluding November 17th, 2024. Is there a second?
Is that applicant
Applicant in the
here?
room? No. Is there a second?
A second.
Good. Now we can discuss it even more. Vice Mayor.
So we have the HOA for Venetian Bay here. Do we know if, since the applicant isn't here, if Venetian Bay wants this weekly food truck? I mean, I know they meet the criteria, but again, we've got to be able to set a duration, a condition on this.
Under any other circumstance, I would say, well, of course, it's the HOA is requesting it. But in this particular case, because we know the HOA is run by not necessarily the residents, why don't we, is there any reason why they have to have this right away, this meeting?
They want to start it on the 17th of November in a couple of days.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and, I don't want to deny it simply because, no one's here arguing against it, but.
City Attorney, what's the protocol here? Can we remove this if we later reconsider this? Say the residents come in and protest, can we revoke that permission slip?
They would need to violate a condition of the permit in order to revoke it. So I would suggest either continuing in a meeting and hearing from the HOA or the residents, or do it for a smaller period of time.
I'm going to amend, I'm going to do that. I'm going to amend my motion to approve it with a 3-month maximum. And then we can let Venetian Bay let us know.
Very good. Okay, so appreciate the guidance from the City Attorney. We have a changed motion to approve beginning 17 November for 3 months. Can I have a second to that?
You seconded it? No? Valley did not second.
I'll second it for discussion. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and now it's proper for us to discuss. So what? Help me understand where you're at.
Well, for $480 just to have that for 3 months, I think we need to make sure that that applicant wants to do that and that we just delay this. Because I wouldn't want that for 3 months for $480.
I can get with the applicant, and if we can put this on the agenda for the next meeting this month, I can just push it and have them make sure they're here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
City Attorney, please.
Additionally, an option would be to approve it for 3 months and have it back on an agenda at that time to continue it, and then you avoid the fee problem.
Yeah, I don't want to deny them, and all of a sudden the residents are upset with us because so we're kind of stuck in the middle here. I don't want to overthink it. So I would like to get it approved.
So the elegant solution is that we could continue it, and they could capitalize on the money. They won't have spent all the money for just a short period of time.
Well, one of my concerns is Bouchelle has a small cost, but it's one food truck to be inspected. And this is an unknown number of food trucks weekly, which requires a significant amount of city time. And so I am concerned about staff time, the use of staff time, and how this all plays out, and one blanket amount where they could have 30 food trucks every week. That's not an insignificant outlay of staff time. So that's my big concern.
Got it, and that is registered, got it. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Well, what I'll do.
Without it, and so the motion is to carry it for 3 months.
Yes, the motion is to carry it for 3 months. You want me to pick a date? You want me to mention a date where we have it back in the motion?
You could say approval for 3 months with an option to extend, subject to commission approval on, pick a date.
The appropriate meeting in February.
Middle of
I don't know
February.
the date that
Yep.
offhand.
February 13th, whatever the commission date is.
So the motion would be to approve the item for 3 months with a review on the February 13th meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All
so
right.
vote.
Any more discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Preen?
No.
Commissioner Martin?
No?
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes?
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. So deadlocked, which means we will do what? It's
It
down, right?
fails.
It fails. Okay, very good. All right, so they'll be back. Thank you, Director Salazar. Rob, that was an uneloquent ending to your presentation. I apologize for that. But while you're in the room, and I know you've got other things going on, I want to thank you on behalf of the commission for all the work you always do, especially for making the city so proud on Veterans Day. Your team did an amazing job. Thank you very, very much. All right. So be it with the consent. Yes, sir.
I have
pardon
a
me?
request. Could we switch 8B and 8A, have 8B first? The representative from Sage View has been here, so she would appreciate it if she goes and she goes home.
Understand without objection? Okay, very
Pardon
good.
the interruption. Item number, consent item 7A was omitted from the first initial motion to approve all except for the ones that were pulled, which is actually my item. And if you don't mind, if it's okay with the commission, I'd like to provide a very brief explanation to clarify.
Absolutely, Kelly, go right ahead.
So that's my item for the minutes. As you know, I create a summary of action after this meeting, which we use internally for our department head meetings. That summary of action is actually compliant with Florida state statutes for the meeting minutes under the Open and Public Meetings 286.011, and also the AGO, Attorney General Opinion 8247. So those go directly online. The only difference when I bring them back to you is that the official minutes list the motion maker name, the seconder, public participation names, and brief city commission comments, which I actually prefer to include in there because it makes it more formal when we bring them back. So if anybody asks for the minutes, which are also called the summary of action, which is compliant, they're always posted on our webpage under the city clerk's office. So we're up to date on everything. We've got them listed for the last 4 or 5 years online. That's all I have, but it still needs a motion second.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Mayor Breen,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, let's pick up item 8B, which is the Retirement Advisory Services using SAGE organization, and we'll look to Director Kidd for a report. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for letting us come in this evening. We'll try to make it as brief as we can so that we can get through this. In 2020, the New Smyrna Beach Utilities Commission conducted an RFP for retirement advisory services and awarded a contract to Sage View. We're proposing tonight that we piggyback onto their contract and use their same services. This will ensure that our employees have the best fund options for retirement investments, including the most competitive fees, and we'd like to use SageView as our retirement advisor. I've invited Lisa Drake this evening to give a short presentation so that you can, and you'll have an opportunity to ask her any questions that you need. Thank you.
Okay, let's show up there.
Is that going to pop up there, Kelly?
While she gets that ready.
We just need to help her get her slides up there. Okay.
Good
somebody-
evening, everyone. Thank you for your time, mayors, commissioners. You have a very busy and full agenda, so I appreciate you taking a few minutes to consider adding SageView Advisory Group. My name is Lisa Garcia. I'm with SageView Advisory Group, and as Heather mentioned, we've been working with the Utilities Commission and a lot of other cities throughout Florida and the United States. I am a retirement plan consultant, and my job is to provide investment oversight to the 401A and 457B plans that are sponsored by the city. That's the core of what we do, is monitor the investments on a quarterly basis. We have an investment policy statement in place that we would adhere to, and meet with the city's leadership team to make sure those investments are prudent, competitive, and so on for the employees. But in addition to that, and more importantly, is also benchmark the plan costs, which we provided a preliminary benchmark review already, and there's opportunity to not only enhance the investment options that are offered to your employees, but also reduce the administrative costs that they're currently paying. And in addition, most importantly, I always say we can offer the lowest plan and the lowest fees and the best investments, but if you don't have participation in the plan, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So we do provide employee financial wellness education on site. We would meet with the employees in a group setting, one-on-one setting, provide personal financial consultations as well as part of our services. I want to just clarify as well that our fee would be paid from the plan. It's $20,000 or 10 basis points. Just like today, the employees pay for the providers, currently Nationwide and Mission Square. My goal is to reduce the plan administrative fees, which I've done with, all the cities that I work with throughout the state. I'm able to negotiate that on your behalf. That would offset our fees, so it's not an additional cost, in addition to providing the other, value and services that we would offer.
Stuck on the trail.
Sorry about this. You have the presentation that Lisa's making in your packet. It was published online, so everyone has access to that presentation.
Thank you, Phil, the wizard behind the curtain.
I'm glad I don't have the timer going. So as as noted on the slide here, I just mentioned, the core. There's a lot more than what we do, but provide the fiduciary investment oversight. We would act as a co-fiduciary, even though the city, as the government entity, is not governed by ERISA. We do follow ERISA as the best practice. I think it's in the best interest of the employees. Benchmark the plan fees as the portfolio continues to grow. We would take that on to make sure that the plan is still competitive. Provide the financial wellness education and vendor management with CARES Act, Secure 2.0 just recently, to help support Heather and her team to make sure your plan documents are in compliance, we're following all the IRS guidelines and so on. So I'll just skip, you may be or may not be familiar with the plan as it sits as of a few months ago. There are 2 or 3 plans sponsored by the city. One record keeper is Nationwide, the other one is Mission Square. Total portfolio assets, a little bit, over $18 million now. We ran the investments through our investment policy statement. So as I mentioned earlier, there is opportunity to improve the performance of the funds, lower the cost, but also provide better performing funds. There's opportunity to improve the diversification of the portfolio. A lot of employees are sitting in cash, which over the long term is not, in their best interest. So we want to provide education on how they should be invested, give them an opportunity to sit down with us. The difference between Mission Square and Nationwide servicing the city is that they're not registered advisors. I am and my team were registered advisors, so we can give specific investment advice to your employees. And then in addition to providing the lower investment costs and plan costs altogether. So we did benchmark your plan. We would like to work with the city on consolidating the providers. Providing 2 options for employees and then a multiple array of investment options is very confusing and overwhelming. We would do an RFQ, just like we did for the Utilities Commission, to reduce the fees. whether it's one of your incumbent providers or going out to a new provider. But currently, and this is where we talk a lot in percentages and basis points, but the record keeper costs on a total aggregate basis is 38 basis points. For a portfolio of your size, of the city size, we should be somewhere between 12 and 26. So my goal is to negotiate with your current incumbents, also look out to other providers for, to get leverage so they can be as competitive as possible and bring that down to, at least no more than middle range there. Also reduce the investment expenses. I had shared with Heather, it was in the packet, several case studies where we've done this numerous times over and over, so I'm pretty confident in our ability to improve and enhance this retirement plan benefit, partner with the city, and more importantly, serve those that serve the city here at New Smyrna. I want to pause there. There's plenty of more slides, but I want to make sure I answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. Any questions, Vice Mayor? Commissioner Martin? Commissioner McGurk?
Yeah, I don't know where to start. Finance is not my strong suit. First of all, when we're talking about these plans, are we talking about all the what retirement plans in the city are we talking about? This doesn't include police and fire, does it?
No, this is just general employees.
So who does this cover, actually?
This would cover all of our general and LiUNA employees for their 401 plans, and then it would...
General and LiUNA.
So everyone but police and fire who have our retirement options.
Okay.
It would also be for our voluntary 457 plans, which all employees have the option to contribute to. So police and fire do have that option to contribute above their retirement, their pension plans, into a voluntary 457 plan.
So right now, police fire have something. I think that there's a few people weaning their way out of the FRS system, right?
Yeah, I think we have 3 left there.
So this will not include those. She can't negotiate better plans in the FRS system.
No.
Okay.
No.
I want to make sure that I'm getting this. So it's for the general employees and LiUNA.
Yes.
Okay. With 401ks with the city or something to that effect.
Yeah, if I can clarify, just because I talk this every day, the 401A plan, which is for the general employees, as Heather mentioned, is employer money that the city is putting in there for the employees, for general employees. The 457B is a deferred comp, just like a 401K, where all the employees have the option to contribute on their own if they wanted to, on a pre-tax or Roth after-tax basis. So the 401A is the city depositing money for the employees' behalf. The 457B is the employees contributing their own money if they want to.
Okay, so it's a lot. Okay, so good. I'm starting to understand where she's going to fit in on this. Not with all the talk we did with fire pension and police pension and all that. No. So these are going to be individual retirement plans that the city will offer them, and she will help them advise them. But she can also take over the assets, or will take over all those assets.
We don't take over the assets. We're not a custodian or a bank. We would be the investment, like the financial advisor, making recommendations to the city, to the committee on what investment options are performing, not performing well, and providing advice to the employees.
Okay, and how much is that going to cost?
It's $20,000 per year. And it's paid from the plan assets. So all the employees, on a pro rata basis, all the employees pay their portion of that fee.
So no additional cost to the city. That $20,000 comes right out of the fees the employees already pay in their fees to invest their dollars.
And at the city, are the employees that are going to be affected, have they voiced an opinion on this at all? Or what is their thoughts? Because they're paying for it, right?
They already pay for that in the current fees that we have with Mission Square and Nationwide. So they won't see any difference in the record keeper other than the additional services that Lisa and her team can provide to them with financial advisement.
Okay. I'll follow up in detail with that later,
Okay.
but that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I was a fiduciary at my last job with a Fortune 500 company, and so it's important to have them get good advice. I've read your packet, and if you can reduce those administrative costs, I know that would be helpful to all, the most junior and the most senior employee. Your track record with CFO at Utility Commission, they really like the work that you're doing over there. And I think the consolidation that you're going to do and the pressure you'll put on the administrative folks to reduce, you could find even a better deal than what we're currently getting is the magic here. It will actually reduce their overall cost of percentage. So speak in favor of your company. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to approve Sageview as a retirement advisory for our New Smyrna Beach.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approving contracting with Sageview for retirement advisory services to immediately reduce the costs associated with our 401k and 457B plan through Mission Square and Nationwide. We have a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
It
a
is
nice
carried. Thank you, Director Kidd, and thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. Now, we've all been waiting for management up with the 120 Flagler Avenue options.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. If you recall, I guess back about 5-6 months ago, we put an RFP to lease the building. We received one proposal from a real estate company. We had one session of negotiation with them. They came back and they withdrew their proposal. I reached out to La Fiesta because when we were preparing the RFP, they indicated that they were interested, excuse me, in leasing the building, but they did not submit the proposal. So I reached out to the owner, and he indicated that they're interested in purchasing the building. So the question now, as we discussed previously, we have discussed several options, and the commission selected to lease the building. Now we're going to go back, and my recommendation is to put an RFP to sell the building. But obviously we have to do 2 appraisals prior to put the RFP out so we could put the minimum on it. During the briefing, I had some concerns from some of you about they want to keep the character of the building, the architecture of the building. So if that's the intent of the commission, excuse me, we could include that in the RFP as a condition if the commission wishes to do that. So I'm just looking for direction from the commission. My recommendation is it's to sell, but if you want to include the other conditions in it, that's possible as well. So.
Very good. No, we'll have a good, robust discussion. Your recommendation is noted that you propose sell, and I know there are other considerations. We'll begin with the Vice Mayor.
So I appreciate all the efforts you've done to get this building leased, not once, but several times. And it's duly noted, this has been on the agenda for a while. Our intent wasn't how it ended, but it was good intentions. I would like to see this sold without any type of restrictions on the deed, because then it becomes complicated.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Martin.
This Florida vernacular building helps to define Flagler Avenue. It is when you come over the bridge, you get the Riverview Hotel, the River Grill, the grill there. And if we sell it and it's demolished and replaced with current square plaster building, we'll have to take quaint out of any reference to New Smyrna Beach. My clear preference is to use it right now for city offices. We do have a dearth of space, and it can be used for the city staff members that do a lot of work beachside could use it for storage or for some type of offices. So my clear preference is to keep it, perhaps, as I said, as a pit stop for use. But if it is sold, oh, and by the way, when the property on the southwest corner of Cooper and Flagler is sold, it may no longer be available as a perch for the New Smyrna Beach Police. Use it with great regularity when they, shall we say, for interesting times on Flagler Avenue. And the next owner of that property may not be as welcoming to having the police station there, and this building would provide an option for the police. We elected to include restoration in the RFP for the Women's Club. If the commission does choose to put this building up for sale, rather than use it for city staff, can we include a deed restriction that mandates the old Florida vernacular? We have to protect the style of Flagler Avenue. This is what everybody uses to advertise for us. This is an important part of our community, is the style. So my first preference is to use it for city staff. We own it, we have it, let's use it. But if my fellow commissioners opt to sell, I will beg you to keep Florida vernacular.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McGirt.
So, just so everybody knows, I still want the intersection improvement, but I have sailed past that. I understand. We will regret not doing that. But with that said, I think we sell it quickly. The market has just continued to climb. There's going to be a ceiling. It's going to go down at some point. We're going to make money on this deal. We're not doing with it what we originally were going to. Let's stop kicking this thing around. Let's get it on the market. Absolutely 100%. I am open to the idea of some sort of maintaining a Florida vernacular on it, but I don't want that to kill the idea of selling the project or selling the property. In other words, I'm not married to that. I like it, but I'm not married to that. I think the most important thing is let's get it sold. So I can support in some capacity that, but I want to get it sold while we can get a high price for it and move past this moment.
Thank you, sir. And you remind us that when the original purpose of purchasing it was for a specific cause, and that came and went. And so I appreciate that. In fact, I think Commissioner Martin and I stood on the other side of that and didn't want anything traffic-wise in the day. We're often cited as not being business savvy. We're city savvy and not necessarily business savvy, perhaps not the government's role. I would encourage us not to kludge up a clear sale. We have zoning and we have rules and regulations in place to make sure that that our community is what it is. So I would not like to handcuff the sale, and that may disappoint some, but that is, in my clear sense, the best way to move this property to the private sector. And so with that, is there a motion on a specific motion on how to do this? Vice Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to sell 120 Flagler Avenue.
A motion to sell clear, simple motion to sell 120 Flagler Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
More discussion? Readdress, Commissioner Martin, you want to try one more?
Only in that it is not clear to me that there are any land development regulations that would cover that style. Right now, there is nothing, to the best of my knowledge, in any of our documents. When Avenue was built, people said, how did that square brown building get built? Don't we have regulations? Well, the answer is no, we don't. So one can assume it will be a white monolith, and from a marketing perspective, that will change the nature of Flagler Avenue. It is a big part of our marketing campaign. What a quaint town we have. How many times have we heard that? So even if somebody did demolish it, to say it has to be in the Florida vernacular, so we at least maintain that entrance to the beach side, which everybody has in everybody's advertisement, I think is important. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments?
Well, I don't know if this is going to help or not, but the land itself is very valuable. The building itself is very valuable. Pretty unlikely that someone's going to buy that building, pay for the building, demolish it, and then put up a brand-new building on the lot that has some limitations. That building has sat there for, it's changed ownership a number of different times, and is still maintained. I mean, I remember when it had a porch and it was accidentally put in, enclosed, and that was a big deal. But I'm optimistic that whoever buys the property will work with what's there.
I'm not willing to bet our future on that.
I'll second that. Commissioner Martin, I like your concern for that. It just wouldn't pencil for someone to go in at $1 million plus to buy it and then tear it down and put another $1 million to build the house. I think by economics, we're probably protected. That's just my comment.
All along Hill Street, all along North and South Atlantic, people are doing exactly that. They are buying properties for over $1 million, demolishing them, and putting up another $1, $2, $3 million house. So it's, well, actually, this was originally a house and could be again. I'm not willing to bet the future of the entrance to our New Smyrna Beach on a hope or a theory that somebody would do that.
I'm just doing it on the economics of a business.
I'd like just to mention a few things, if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
To maybe help things, because I actually agree with Commissioner Martin on some things. I've always questioned if they tear a building down, what could we do just to make that building look old but be new? In my opinion, if I bought that for $1 million or whatever price it sells for, even over $1.5 million, $2 million, I'm not going to want that building. The building, I worked in it for 3 years and it has termites. The roof is in bad shape. It has a rat problem from next door, and it's common things with an old building. I'd want a nice new building there for that kind of money. But I hate to put restrictions. I don't know how we would do it with saying, let's make whatever building it is, whether it's mixed use, commercial or residential, make it look old, like a Mike Hickson. I hate using that name because there are a lot of builders like that. But he's a good example. He builds a lovely house, but I don't know how you could do that with a deed restriction legally with looks. But I like that idea.
I said Florida vernacular. Certainly the building on the corner
Right,
immediately
right.
to the east of it, I have no idea what the age is, but it sure doesn't look old.
Yeah.
And then we had the Collado real estate built that everybody said, had to be torn down, and she put money into it, and it's a gorgeous building. But without restrictions, leaving it to somebody's goodwill, what mood they're in, whatever money they want. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me to risk so much of a statement about our city on what somebody might want to do.
Yeah, your point is clear. Let's go in order and not interrupt each other. Commissioner Perrine, anything else? No. Commissioner Martin, you've made your point. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll. This is a motion to approve the sale of 120 Flagler.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Vice Mayor Perrine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
So ordered.
On to ordinances, second readings, and public hearings. Public hearing will be conducted to consider the adoption of the following ordinances regarding the annexation of property located at 1409 Enterprise Avenue. City Attorney will read ordinances 75, 76, 77, 23 for the second time by title only. And our Planning Manager, Stephanie Doster, will have a presentation.
Ordinance number 7523, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the northeast corner of Spruce Street and Enterprise Avenue, addressed as 1409 Enterprise Avenue, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, provided for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 7623, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the northeast corner of Spruce Street and Enterprise Avenue, addressed as 1409 Enterprise Avenue, from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 7723, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the northeast corner of Spruce Street and Enterprise Avenue, addressed as 1409 Enterprise Avenue, from Volusia County R4A urban single-family residential airport overlay to city R2A single-family residential airport overlay zoning district, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. And now, Manager Doster, we're ready for your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you. I know I'm not your typical annexation face, but thanks for having me. All right, so we have this property owner is requesting a voluntary annexation and a comprehensive plan amendment to rezone Volusia County future land use designation of urban medium density intensity from Volusia County zoning designation R4 urban single family residential with an A attached for airport height notification zone to a compatible city future land use designation of medium density residential and city zoning designation of R2 single family residential with an A attached for the airport height notification zone. The site contains approximately 0.33 acres and is located on the northeast corner of Spruce Street and Enterprise Avenue, addressed as 1409 Enterprise Avenue. At its regularly scheduled meeting on October 2nd, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 7-0 to recommend to the City Commission to approve the request for the overall annexation. Staff recommends the City Commission to approve the requested annexation, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and future land use to city medium residential zoning to R2 single-family residential zoning with the A attached for the airport height notification zone. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. I appreciate that. And now we'll open the public hearing. Is there any citizen who wishes to speak on this topic, please approach the podium at this time. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. City Commission will now consider adoption of each ordinance separately. Any questions for Manager Doster before we proceed? Is there a motion to approve ordinance 7523?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
7523 has been adopted. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 7623?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve item ordinance number 7723, please?
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And now on to, there are no first readings, and so we'll move on to the boards and commissions. The Economic Development Task Force is before us to consider the appointee
of one citizen to serve an unexpired 3-year term ending September 1st, 2025. Madam City Clerk, your report, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. During the regular City Commission meeting on October 24th, there was a EDTF member named Thomas Bean. He was actually appointed to the Planning and Zoning Board, which created a vacancy for his unexpired term on the EDTF. We had 4 applicants in the system. We called them and verified that they were interested, and they've been submitted to the clerk's office for consideration for appointment to the EDTF. And so since there's 1 vacancy, Mayor, you can open the floor for nominations. Each person can select 1 nominee if they so choose. Has to be equal to the number of vacancies.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Are the nominations are open? Is there any nominations? 4 candidates, just need 1, and admire the fact that at least 3 of them are here.
I'll tell you, there's some, it's a tough one. There's some really good people, and the good news is, regardless, I want those names of the people who don't make it this round on for the next round, or some other boards possibly, because very impressive resumes. I'm going to nominate David McKenna.
Nomination for David McKenna. Is there another?
I'd like to nominate Diana Poole.
Nomination for Diana Poole. Is there any others? Okay, we have 2 nominations. Madam City Clerk.
So with those 2 nominations.
Those are the 2 nominations, David McKenna and Diana Poole.
Yes, you would select between those 2 on your ballots. The first ballot was a split right down the middle. So Vice Mayor Perrine, Commissioner Martin selected Diana Poole, Commissioner McGurk, and Mayor Cleveland selected David McKenna. I'll pass out a second ballot, still the same 2.
Okay, and if this doesn't resolve, then maybe we can defer till all 5 of us are here.
You can opt to do that.
Can we just have them both, please?
All right, it was a majority vote, 3-1, 3 votes for David McKenna from Vice Mayor Perrine, Commissioner McGurk, Mayor Cleveland, 1 vote for Diana Poole from Commissioner Martin. So it's David McKenna with the majority vote.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. McKenna. The City Clerk's office will reach out to you with official notification and your appointment. To Diana Poole, thank you for putting it in. And we look forward to having you again on the next board that becomes available. Thank you both. Let's move on to commission reports. And we'll start with the Vice Mayor.
Okay, I have 2 things. On October 25th, Rob sent us a snapshot of the revenues and expenses of some of the streams of other things other than the marina and the golf course and the Brannon Center, because they weren't included in the group of when we analyzed the increases in revenues. So because of, we're looking at ways, instead of waiting till the end of next year and budget, to look at the things that we did not review at budget. And I would like to make a motion, since everybody received that we at least review that and have that on an upcoming agenda. And it's at Coronado and any of the buildings that need a lot of maintenance, and the revenues that we're receiving of those. He sent us that. So I don't know if you had the opportunity and the time to look at that in October or not, but he pulled them from me, and I asked to share with everybody that we get that item on the agenda so we can review those things.
Great. Let me understand again. State your motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we include the streams of revenues not looked at on the next agenda or a future upcoming agenda.
So there's the revenues of each of these centers should be considered, be looked at. Is there a second to that?
Revenues and expenses, I guess.
Is there a second?
I would second that with the stipulation that the subsidization also be shown. For example, there's a lot of general fund that goes to the Brannon Center.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Let's have a robust discussion. Commissioner Martin, say some more about that.
Well, it's not as simple as revenue and expense when you're subsidizing something from general fund. And there's also many questions about expenses in terms of how staff time is allocated, how materials are allocated. So if it gets more murkier and murkier, and from what I know of the finances, we should close down Brannon Center because it's like, let's have more events and lose money faster. So, so if, for example, Coronado Civic Center doesn't have a high revenue but doesn't cost us anything, that's a different way of looking at it.
I just want to look at all of the things.
And I think that's
and bring
fair.
that in public, because we've got more than just Coronado. We have other buildings too.
We have a lot of other things, right? No,
and I think it's time that we analyze and look. If Babe James is $30 for the large room and we want to increase it to $40, then we should. Or if the Coronado, we need new bathrooms that are coming up on expenses, and we need to have an opportunity to discuss those items that we didn't discuss for our budget.
I think that's fair to do a full analysis.
Any other comments from Commissioner Martin?
No, not on this.
Okay. Any more from you, ma'am? Commissioner McGirt.
How many buildings is this? What do you anticipate the time of staff spending on this? I mean, well, what's the, I guess my question, what's the goal here? I don't want to get too down a rabbit hole for us all to agree, but there's nothing really to change.
So he's already pulled the information. We just haven't discussed it. And we haven't increased the fees on those items.
So I think Lisa hits on it. You know, when we built just use the Brannon Center as an example, when we built it, we said, we're going to hold firm. Nobody can use it without paying for it. But when we do the work of the people, and it's the people's taxpayers, it never seemed to work out that way. And there was a bet, let's see, kind of an inside joke. So I just, there's a lot of, I'm okay with it. I want a very specific goal here.
So not to interrupt you, sir. I think just bringing the transparency all the way through and saying, hey, it's never going to pencil. It's a service the community offers, and so we'll decide whether they're going to continue to offer it or shut that building down. I think that's what, I don't know that it's a lot of staff time, but it is a lot of discussion time for us to talk about whether the philosophy of, are we a city of services and we recognize it's going to cost us, or do we contract it out and say, hey, we're going to be entrepreneurial, we're going to let,
Well, I want there to be a goal,
Incorporated, McGurk Incorporated operate it for us.
I want a goal to come, I want there to be a specific goal, not just kind of throw it out there and kick it around and discuss it for a long time and then end up reverting back to where we started and saying, well, that's good. See, so let's have a goal if we're gonna spend that kind of time.
Say some more words there, Vice Mayor, about what the goal you see.
The goal is that we look at the maintenance, upcoming maintenance on these buildings and analyze them, because look what just happened with Live Oak and the Women's Center. These are buildings that we own. We need to look and see what kind of future maintenance issues we're going to have. We've never had fee increases on some of these buildings, to my knowledge, that I've been watching, but we have had increases on the expense side of it. So maybe we can show that we can generate a little bit of more fees.
The Women's Club is a good example of, we never had the budget we wanted to be able to put the money into it. And every time we got some money to get into it, we ended up opening, we say, what are the expenses of this buildings? Well, we don't know until we actually get into it. And that's what happened with the Women's Club. So I get the point you're making. I'm willing to support you, but I'm saying I don't want to do this and then just be back at square one.
City Manager, can you add an enlightenment? What do you think about our idea?
I think what Vice Mayor is asking is for a financial report on this facility in terms of revenue, expenses, and other items that we could provide. And then at that time, when we look at it, we could see in terms of the maintenance, in terms of like items needs to be replaced. You have the AC, you have the roof, you have the windows, the bathrooms. So I think if we bring it back, maybe a comprehensive report on the building in terms of revenue, expenses, and maintenance, then we could look at it, and then from there we could draw the conclusion. Before we jump into something else in terms of the fees and so forth. And I just want to warn, this building, since almost, I would say, at least 25 years, every time we try to do something to it, they'll say, well, why don't you hold on, because we don't know what we're going to do with it. So it's kind of like the restrooms it's not a handicap accessible. I mean, the building is not from an optic standpoint, it doesn't represent the city well. But let's bring back the report, I think, and then from there we could draw the conclusion.
Okay, I like yes, ma'am, just a minute. I like the idea of a disciplined approach. What you taught me earlier was that we have enterprise-funded activities and we have the others. And so if truly we're going to stand on an enterprise, I think Commissioner Martin has said before, either it stands on its own or it doesn't. But the transparency to see whether that does or not would be interesting for all of us to know. Right, and it's no harm, no foul, nothing on you about whether you're managing well or not. It's just about where the numbers are. And I think things that I've learned is there's certain activities in this town that don't run on their own, and you've changed them from enterprise fund into general funded or whatever the other category is, and I understand that. Yeah. But the level of transparency, what I think I'm hearing is, we just want to know how much of that money is so we can make a good decision on whether we keep going down that road. I mean, I've been cranky about the Brandon Center for a long time as well, but I may be all hosed up. It may be, hey, look, Fred, that's a service. We're going to always have a big community center, or no, we're going to let somebody operate it for us, and you'll see we'll break even. Who knows? Yeah. Ma'am.
I would like to point out that one of the things that we don't look at any project, it seems to me, is the cost of maintenance. For example, do we have every month or every year, do we have a reserve for maintaining this building? I mean, we tend not to assess a project from the beginning in terms of what it takes to keep it running at the optimum. And so we are very self-defeating with that. And I think it's important for us to look at things that way. So
that's it. And I'll just make a brief comment on that. I, too, and former commissioners have sat and we have said, let's create all these funds. And I will tell you that there's a lot of different people out there who have different opinions on what government's role is. And I will tell you that as soon as we start building money in a pot, we will have people in the community come out and say, that's wrong. Your job is not to, you're taxing us too much. You shouldn't have those kinds of reserves. So there's a lot of, my point is there's a lot of reasons why things ebb and flow. You'd be surprised at how many people will come in and call themselves fiscal conservatives and say, you shouldn't be building and retaining any kind of significant amount of money. Now, I don't agree with it.
Well, then.
But it's fascinating, the dynamic of what you get from your constituents when you try to deal with these issues. And what we're talking about is government doesn't run like a business or a household. And it's specifically set up in a lot of ways not to do that. But we tend to want to do that, and I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm just pointing out, you know, we've been down this road a number of times, and it's interesting when people start showing up what their issue is. And when we start holding on to pots of money, people get real cranky about it.
Well, I'm just going to suggest that it's our fiduciary duty as elected officials to say, I understand you don't like that reserve, but you're going to like it less when we have to pay $1 million for something rather than $5 every month on maintenance.
And I agree with you 100%. The constituents maybe not.
So motion, we've had some discussion, there's a second. And I think we could have done it just without objection, and because we're all in pretty good agreement, but for the proper protocol of our day. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there more, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
The other thing is the first step, shelter. We need to host a table if we can. And I wanted to discuss that with you guys, that we can get a table of 8. And it's going to be February 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Daytona Beach Hilton Oceanfront Resort. It's our first year, but I don't know how you guys want to handle the $1,000 for the table. I don't know if you want to take that out of our individual funds, or if we pay for that, what we have left, or if we want to donate personally. What your thoughts on it, since this is a very first year for it. I don't know how people feel about it.
Really good. Before we discuss, Kelly, how much money is in the group fund for the commissioners?
So the discretionary fund?
Yeah.
I believe that each commissioner has how much?
$2,000?
2,000?
So we had $10,000 in the account, but we spent, I think, $500 that we spent for the Volusia medical care. And then I think we spent, but so I would say probably you have at least 8,500, if not more.
Very good. Commissioner McGurk, how have we done it in the past?
So usually something like that would usually the city would cover that. It would come out of the city commission budget. I'm not, the little $2,000, I've never used it. I'm not sure I agree with that. It's too easy for people. Anyway, either way, I have no problem with it coming out of that money as a group event, or having it come out of just our general city commission budget. We do these things, you know, throughout the year. We'll get a table of something we're involved in. So either way we want to do it. However, to me, it's 6 1/2 dozen the other.
Very good. Hey, just for clarification, I think we have a chamber event coming up tomorrow. How did that get paid for?
We use in-kind services for the Brannan Center, not the whole amount, but in order for them to do the preparation, they needed to have it like 4 hours before, and typically we charge them $400. So that was just have them give them 4 hours. So in-kind services.
Got it. Ma'am?
Okay, we've just joined First Step, and we're, committed to like 57,000? Before we throw ourselves wholeheartedly into this, I'd like to get a sense of how well the program works. So I'm not ready for us as the city to say, hey, you know, we just inked something, let's give you more money.
Well, this is their annual fundraiser, and so this is what I wanted to hear, because we voted to support them, and every city that is supporting them and uses them has a table.
But I think they have
So
more
we would be the
longevity.
only one not to.
Well, we've got the same problem with the Halifax Urban Ministry in a way, but with the Barracks of Hope. I'm not saying no and never, I'm just saying it feels a little new to me.
Okay. So we have an opportunity. We haven't made any motions or anything yet. So I see dissension and differences, and other sides. The issue that I hadn't considered. Yep, we're the new guy on the block. So I get that. I'm comforted to know that the other cities seem to be getting a value, or they would be moving away from this. I don't really care how the money comes out. I was trying to find another example of other things that the city pays for. I know you pay for Volusia League of Cities when we go to events for them. That comes out of the same pot. I think I side with Commissioner McGurk. I'm not sure I want it coming out of the commission fund. But in the event of, for the sake of clarity, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the city will pay for a table at the, what's the name of it?
First Step.
The First Step Shelters fundraiser, February 3rd.
Okay, I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any more? You're 2 for 2, Vice Mayor. Is that enough? All right.
Just to be
Yes,
clear,
sir.
so this way the motion is, she was talking about $1,000. That was the thing, correct?
Yes, $1,000 for the table. Commissioner Martin, your report, ma'am.
Okay, well, you know, we're real big on use, at least I am, of city funds and city time. And I have some concerns about expenditures that really haven't come past the commission. For example, the level of certain city events, such as the Veterans Day, which, I mean, it was a great event, but it was not an inexpensive event. And I really would, our city manager's time is extremely valuable, very valuable. I would prefer that his time not be used calling for sponsorships. I think that that is perhaps not part of the job description for city manager. The other side is our land development regulations, which, for example, the Flagler Avenue building, we really don't have infill land development regulations to protect existing neighborhoods and the nature of the existing neighborhoods. And they are also our flooding issues or our stormwater. They relate to big developments. Not, I'm tearing down a house or two and I'm building 7 beachside. So we're really having a lot of infill. It's going to be big on the west side. It's already happening on the historic west side. We have a lot of it beachside. So I think that we really would like to see this prioritized. And the thought, we have a lot of residential areas that abut multi-use, such as the Village Square PUD, such as Oakweiler, such as, well, Oakweiler doesn't count, I'm sorry, they're not business, but US 1, 44, and increasingly Beachside, where business is across the street or in the backyard of a residence. And I think we have to come up with some standards to take care of both. In other words, my question about any given business is this something you would want in your backyard? Because increasingly, that's what we're doing. We're putting it in people's yards. So I would ask for help along that line.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McGurk, your report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to say that I thought the Veterans Day ceremony was very good. I think we're heading in the right direction. We started it with Memorial Day, and I think we need to do a postmortem on that. There's some things that I thought were great. I think we're going in the right direction. There's probably a couple things that I would change, but y'all may not agree, and it's not important. It just, I'd voice my opinion on it. I'm not offended if people disagree and we don't change those. But my point is, great event. We're headed in the right direction. We don't do enough for our veterans. We probably never can. But I like the direction we're going in. It was a good event, and we can certainly, pick each other's brain and of course bug staff and drive staff crazy on exactly, I want this and this person wants that. But I want to say that I think staff did a wonderful job. I want to commend the mayor. He did a great job. We gave him some latitude on this, and I like the way that he's run with this. That's not to say that, staff had a lot to do with it too. Good or bad, whatever. Great job. I'm proud of the Veterans Day ceremony that we're putting together, and I think it's a work in progress. And I think we keep analyzing what looked good, what didn't, what felt good, what didn't. Play with it. And I'll probably give Khalid my list, and then you guys can hear about it. And a lot of it is very subjective. The gentleman who came up and talked about parking in his neighborhood during construction projects, I can only laugh about it because since I moved in my neighborhood, we have had so many remodels that we've never had a neighborhood that you come during the day between 8 and 5 and and sometimes you can't even get through. You're zigzagging around all the construction vehicles, and people are apologizing on the little local neighborhood Facebook page. Our project's finally done after 2 years. We're so sorry. But there is an element. We have a problem when one person is parked on the road and then another person parks next to him. You can't fit a car through. I don't know how you fix stupidity, right? I mean, you just can't. When someone made a decision and it's very clear that a car can't fit through and they're going to block a road, I don't know how you fix that. I mean, if people don't have enough common sense, it's difficult. But I understand what he's talking about. It's a challenge. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I understand what the guy said. Very difficult. And really it comes down to the general contractor of the project. You hire a GC, you be a good neighbor, you tell your GC, hey, don't have all your guys and all your subs tear up my neighbor's yards and park all over their stuff. You're gonna have to manage that a little bit. So, I would say that if that guy stopped me at Publix and asked me, hey, what can we do about that? I would say that we should probably start with giving the GC, talking with the GC. If someone complains about it, have code enforcement go talk to the GC and say, hey, clean up your subs. Do a little bit of a better job. Other than that, I don't know how we run around and deal with that. Traffic around town. I'm amazed how much traffic is on US 1 going north and south during the week this time of year. It is, to say it has completely changed. It used to ebb and flow with certain times of the year. It doesn't. I'm just amazed at how much traffic we have. So I've always said that I wanted to create a little local road network for locals to get around so we don't get stuck on 44. And I can tell you that I still want to push that. Mike Colodi, he and I agreed on that. When you can put stop signs or four-way stop signs, or most important, right turn lanes. There's a bunch of places all over town where we get stuck and bogged down. And by the time you get people turning right and going slow, you'll wait 2 lights, but it's not necessary. If there was a right turn lane, and I could make a list of probably 20 or 30 places around town where our local streets would flow much better, which also allows things like US 1 to flow better. But we have traffic backed up where we're missing lights in places where we just never have. Wayne and US 1. I mean, my whole life, I've been around that intersection, and I'll have to sit through a red, sit through a green, and then have to sit through a red again to move up. So I may bug staff a little more about creating some sort of master list of how our local roads function better. I will tell you that a four-way stop sign at Wayne and Halleck created wonders for stopping traffic from backing up 8, 10, 12 cars deep. So, and finally, the parking task force. There's a million things that I would love to bring to the commission all the time and say, let's do this and let's do that and let's have staff do this and that. I don't want to let that go. My opinion was got a little too subjective and bureaucratic. You know, I teased Jay when he said we didn't touch on the tough issue, the politically difficult one, the difficult issues, and I said, no, those are the ones we want to work on. So I don't want the parking task force to get lost just like the rest of them have. So I want to find a way where we tackle the tough issues, the ones that were polarizing, because we're not going to really get much. We'll be years talking about experts and consultants. So just wanted to share those. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Those are great thoughts. I appreciate all of your comments. I've got a few myself. On the parking task force and the parking initiative, I want to salute the city manager for taking it on personally. I don't think the bandwidth is there to get it more than up and running, and so I admire that you're jumping on it right now and personally getting the ducks in a row so it doesn't fall through the cracks. So I'm confident what the Commissioner McGurk's comments about it falling through the crack will not happen at the beginning. The sustainment, I favor having a department of mobility that has, whether you put it under the police chief or put it under planning, doesn't matter to me, but I think the consultant's a good baby step, but eventually it's got to be institutionalized if we're going to make some real progress. And I certainly believe we have to break some China and have to take on some of the harder issues. I went to a meeting this week for all elected officials, the round table that they have generally at the airport. We met at the Volusia County Emergency Response Center. Fantastic presentation by Jim Judge, who runs that outfit, and delighted, knock on wood, that we haven't had to use it this year yet. And so the capabilities are huge. If you would like a tour, he'd be happy to give it. The capability is huge, and what I was really inspired by is the interoperability between New Smyrna and that center. That emergency center is great. So I think you would really enjoy seeing how close we work together. Also discussed at that meeting was the Live Local Senate Bill 102, which has a lot of burrs on it. I think the general initiative of $711 million from the state toward housing programs and projects is good, but the incentive in the fine print, and I've got some of the highlights here. In the fine print, what we've determined was it encourages bad behavior. It encourages those would-be developers to come in and take advantage of the tax break, which means no revenue for the cities, and not do these nice, wonderful, enhancing projects, but create apartment complexes that don't have to pay taxes and and can get away with a density that would just humble our town. So, city manager Carmen Del Rosa, is it the one? Carmen Del Rosa is in Tallahassee right now, representing the Volusia County League of Cities, talking with the leadership at the President of the Senate's office, and the word is that if the leadership will at least allow a conversation about it, then all the representatives and senators will chime in. We've got a structural challenge here. The sponsor of the bill was Tom Leek, one of our senators. And so we've got, between he and Tom Wright, we've got to figure out a way to open this back up so that all of these loopholes, which will crumble many cities, DeBerry is facing it right now, get opened up. And so between the Volusia County League of Cities and the Florida League of Cities, hopefully we'll get some traction there. I know we don't always line up with those two organizations, but I think this is one where we can. It's an organization called the League of Mayors, which we're in, Florida League of Mayors. There are 3 focus areas for their president's 3 areas of emphasis for this year are mental health, mentoring, and veterans initiatives. I thought those were 3 good ones, and so we'll see more as the clock ticks. We attended, some of us, the Barracks of Hope opening. It's a veterans homeless shelter up in Daytona Beach, and looks like it's going to be quite an improvement over their original facility run by the Halifax Urban Ministries organization. Seems like it's going to be a bang-up opportunity, and they're still looking for sponsorships. I'm wondering if, with the sad state of decorum in certain cities that you hear about dysfunction amongst the commission, the inability to attract highly talented city staff because of that poor interaction. Volusia County, as a council, has adopted something called a standard of decorum, and it's for how residents, citizens, and electeds will interact with each other while in the room and conducting business. I'm wondering if, without objection, I've talked to the city attorney, she is up on this. I wonder if you would have the appetite to have the city attorney look at a code of decorum that we could look at and determine whether we wanted to abide by that and vote that in as something that how our citizens will act in this room and how we will act towards one another in this room. Are there objections to that? If there are no objections, I'd like to have the city attorney go down that path and looking at it. She claims to have the bandwidth to do that. It won't be instant pudding because she has a lot on her plate, but in due course, that's something that she would do. Any objections?
Well, I would ask if you really feel the need. I think generally everybody's pretty well behaved, and we've got a lot of other legal issues going on. I'm just not sure this is a top priority.
I didn't say top priority at all. I'm with you. She does have a full plate. If you do not want to do this, just say no, you don't want it, and I'll make a vote if you prefer not to. The idea is, when things are easy and good, you get good behavior. When things are not easy and not good, and we're going to have some hot topics down the road, things seem to fall apart. And I would never want to see this city, our predecessors lectured us about never losing the decorum. It's here now because we want it to be here. But this would be a standard that we could all appreciate and live by. And it would also include the citizens that come up and how they conduct themselves in this room. There's nothing in paper right now that says if somebody misbehaves, other than me saying we're gonna recess the meeting and the police chief acting on his own accord. There's nothing that backs him up what bad behavior looks like. This could back that up.
Well, so having seen some of these commissions around the county, the issue is if we get people acting up, it's really ultimately going to be up to us and mostly the mayor on what the mayor directs city staff to do, in this case a police chief. But people will get very cranky and the news will be very quickly if we start throwing people out. So my point is, I'm not saying anyone's gonna throw someone out. But if you create a set of rules, those can get you in trouble very quickly, because what makes perfect sense to us and 99.9% of the residents, all you need is one to do something with a camera, and all of a sudden that whole thing is portrayed differently. So I'm interested, I wouldn't mind it in an informal way. I could stop in, talk with Carrie. You can give her some direction. I don't want to make it too formal.
Sure.
So somehow we do it informally. I'd like to do it that way.
So if she would do in due course, not immediately, do in due course, draw up something, we could all look at it, and if we want to act on it at that time, we can act on it. If we want to say, okay, that's nice, that's fine. So without objection to that path, are there any objections to it? Okay. Thank you, Carrie. And we talked about it. I didn't just say, hey, let me load something else with the attorney. I'm told by the city manager that there's a concern that we do not do annual awards to Volunteer of the Year, City Employee of the Year, Business of the Year, and Volunteer of the Year at the annual State of the City sometime in January. Is that true, that there are commissioners who do not want to give awards to our citizens this year?
Well, let's state, first of all, we've had, 3 State of the City, 2 or 3 total in history. The first, the first request for one was put in the charter in, what was that, 2020? So we've had 2. So our long tradition consists of 2 meetings.
Great. I just want you on the record to
And-
say you don't want to give awards out, or you do want to give awards out.
Well, I'm just not sure it's appropriate for what we're trying to do, which is just present what is truly the state of the city.
Right, so it's your view that we should do no awards for any businesses or residents or volunteers or city employee?
I would say that might be for a different time.
I'm just trying to ask, because that we've done it now, and now if we decide not to do it. In fact, I think we got in trouble. The mayor did it unilaterally last time, and that got sideways with the commission. To go all the way and say, oh, because he did it poorly last time, that we don't want to do it at all, seems like a very bad move.
Well, remember, we're operating on a grand tradition of 2 meetings.
I understand.
No, I'll jump in here. You know me, I always got an opinion. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Mayor. I think the issue, I have no problem with having a Citizen of the Year, Person of the Year, however you want to refer to it. I like the idea. I think we need to vote on it. I think that cannot be unilaterally done by anyone on the commission. And it has to be a majority vote. And I think that what the best thing to do, in my opinion, and I'm certainly not, I'm up for ideas, is each person can submit a name and we narrow it down by vote like we do on a board, and basically whittle it down until someone gets a majority.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to do it. I just want to make, and I'll leave that to the experts over there at the other end. I just want to make sure that whether we do it or don't do it.
Draw names out of a hat.
I oppose a Citizen of the Year. What happened last year was totally uncalled for. And I don't even want to start on the bad behavior from this commission board and the mayor that did it. Let's talk about this, because if names are presented up here and one of us knows things about that person shouldn't be elected as a Person of the Year, we're going to have to say that up here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we do it in secrecy,
That
so
is
it becomes
awful.
a thing, but I do have great trust in the city manager, and so we could probably funnel
No.
the idea.
I've already
there.
heard names tossed out,
Have you?
and it's a hard no for me. So
just want to make sure people are, okay, so you're voting your conscience. At least two of you do not want to have anybody in the city, a business or an individual or an employee or a volunteer to be recognized. I just want to have that out there. That's fine. I understand. I just didn't know where it was coming from, and I think
Last year did it for all of us, what happened.
oh yeah, I think it was done poorly, but to throw the baby out with the bathwater is not something I favor. So I'll bring it up again when we have 5 of us here, and we'll see where it goes. The last is is about Veterans Day. I want to commend again City Manager and your team for doing a great job. I enjoyed playing a part, and thank you for allowing that. Also, thank the Commission for voting for sponsorships at a previous meeting. We voted right here on this dais to get sponsorships, and so thank you, Khalid, for executing what we voted on to have you do and get those sponsorships. Cut the price, I think, in half. I think we spent less on this event than we spent city dollars than we did on the Memorial Day event. And continuous process improvement guy that I am, I love Commissioner McGurk's idea that we keep on tweaking it and making it better and better. I've received a lot of input from a lot of places, and I'll share those all with the city manager. That concludes my report. And now, Madam City Clerk, have you got anything else in your report, ma'am?
I do just one short thing. So one of the administrative functions that the clerk's office performs is to facilitate public participation in governmental affairs. That being stated, please know that all of you are welcome to encourage any citizens to contact us. Our office, our door is always open. If they have clerk-related questions regarding things like the agenda, elections, boards, public records, we're there to help, try to explain. So just wanted to put that out there during a meeting. Thank you.
Good. Madam City Attorney, your report, ma'am.
No report, thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager.
I think I'm done with my report, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, one and all. We're adjourned.